Hi guys, my name is Annie Morgan. I'm going to be doing my final project on the Pu'uhonua O Honaunau National Park in Hawaii. Um, just a quick intro. Pu'uhonua stands for place of refuge, and O Honaunau is the city in which it resides in. It's a national park located on the west coast of the main island in Hawaii. This is a sacred place preserved. It preserves like the ancient royal grounds and temple sites located there. Until this day, Pu'uhonua O Honaunau is considered to hold sacred powers from the remains of past chiefs buried there. Their mana or spiritual powers reside there, protecting those seeking new life. The history behind Pu'uhonua O Honaunau is fascinating. It's what really intrigued me to pick this topic. One thing that really stands out to me is that the Pu'uhonua O Honaunau is surrounded by a massive L-shaped Great Wall. This wall is 10 feet tall and 17 feet thick. It separates the royal grounds from the sanctuary. Long ago, ancient Hawaiians lived by a kapu system, kapu meaning forbidden. Kapu regulated the fishing, planting, and the harvesting of many other resources throughout the island. This system consisted of specific laws that if one did not abide by these laws, they would ultimately be put to death. Hawaiians lived by these laws or traditions until the death of King Kamehameha in 1819. The kapu system was intended to separate the spiritually pure, who were the chiefs and priests, from those who were potentially not, who was basically everybody else. For a lawbreaker or a warrior that had lost at battle, they could flee to the Pu'uhonua from their enemies and seek forgiveness. Once in the sanctuary, the priest would greet the sinner, and the sinner would confess and plead for forgiveness. The priest would then perform a purification ceremony and would forgive them of their sins. Word would soon get out and spread, and the person who had sinned would then be able to start a life as new. Kapu laws. The kapu system regulated nearly everything in Hawaiian life. There are thousands of laws or rules to inform people of what they could and could not do. Kapu laws were very strict. If broken, even unintentionally, would result in immediate death. Some of these laws are as follows: entering into the chief's personal area or coming in contact with the chief's fallen hair or fingernail clippings. Eye contact with the chief or priest, wearing red or yellow, symbolizing royalty, being in sight of the chief with your head held higher than his. Men and women were not allowed to eat together. Their food wasn't even allowed to be cooked together. Many foods women were not allowed to partake of, such as pork, coconuts, varieties of bananas, and some large fish. Women also were not allowed to participate in building homes, canoes, or attend birth or death ceremonies. A commoner would be put to death if his or her shadow fell on the chief's house or anything that belonged to the chief. Certain places can also be considered kapu. They would be labeled as pahu kapu, with two large staffs crossing with white balls on top of each. Entering into these areas would result in death. This picture here represents a hut that is pahu kapu, with the two staffs crossing with white balls on top. Consequences for breaking kapu were pretty intense. A law officer, or ilam uku, would hunt the lawbreaker and take it upon themselves to enforce this brutal law by many different forms of death. Stoning, strangulation, drowning, beating, burning were just some of the methods they used. If you broke kapu, there was no trial, no compassion, no second thought to your life. Death or outrunning the law officer to the sanctuary where you could take refuge were your only two options. Making it to the sanctuary was a great feat. Incredibly hard, with that law officer or many of your enemies on your tail. Many committed suicide before the law officer or knowledge of their sins got out. because they knew how horrible their death would become. These are some of the social classes that ancient Hawaiians lived by. It goes as follows: chiefs and priests. The chiefs and the priests were considered royalty, both spiritually pure. Then, the artisans and craftsmen, warriors and commoners. The artisans, craftsmen, warriors, and commoners could all be potentially unspiritually pure. And all of these people lived under the same kapu system. The commoners mainly consisted of farmers and fishermen. In the next few slides, we'll go into detail about these social classes and who they are. The royals. The royalty consisted of priests and chiefs. These chiefs held incredible inherited mana, or spiritual power. Often royalty would wear different forms of clothing to symbolize their power, such as large feathered staffs, helmets woven from ahi-ahi with feathers attached, and different leis made from bird feathers and beads. The top left picture is a woman with a large feathered staff, a traditional wrap, and leis. The bottom left picture is a group of royal men wearing red and yellow, symbolizing royalty, a helmet, and, as well, the large feathered staffs. Next we have the commoners, also known as maka'ai inana. Both the royalty and the commoners, as I said, lived under the same kapu system. Most commoners were fishermen and farmers, as I stated before. Their whole existence was to serve and help the royalty and the kingdom. Commoners also had different clothing that they would wear. The a'omai was a cape made out of dried banana leaves. The malo was a loincloth worn by the men, and a pa'olai was a traditional wrap worn by the women. Here you can see this man wearing the dried banana leaves and a woman wearing the traditional wrap with a lei. Now we're going to move on to the questions that were given. Number 1, what the historical site is. Previously in earlier slides, I gave a description of what it is and what the historical aspect of it is, but we'll give a brief description of what you can find there today. Pu'uhonua O Honaunau is a sacred ancient Hawaiian sanctuary, as I've stated. You can find different temples, activities, and the Great Wall that still stands today. Some of the things that you might see there are the kaikai, or wooden carvings that represent many gods who protect the sanctuary, that ward off any enemies that might be seeking to enter there. The lili, or a large wooden platform that prayers or words of gratitude would be offered to the gods on, and the papamu is a playing surface carved into stone similar to checkers. You can see all three represented here in each picture. Moving on to the next slide, number 2, what is the historical content of this site? In other words, what else was happening in the world at the same time? Up until the death of King Kamehameha II in 1819, the kapu traditions were still practiced. The War of 1812 was occurring around the same time period, where the U.S. and the United Kingdom fought from 1812 to 1815. Hawaii, however, was not heavily involved in this, because they were not made a state until August 21st, 1959. Number 3. Why is it historically important? Why did the U.S. think it was so important that they created the historical park or site? Pu'uhonua O Honaunau is a very special and sacred part of Hawaiian history. It holds the remains of many chiefs, 23 to be specific, and is very well preserved up until today. The remains of these fallen chiefs have blessed the area with their mana, or spiritual powers, making it a national park, allowing the world to see what it beholds and why this monument is so important. Because it is such a sacred place, you are not allowed to have a wedding there, take wedding pictures, have a lawn chair, towels, coolers, mats, umbrellas, picnic, or even have a pet. You are also not allowed to smoke, stack rocks, throw a frisbee, toss a football, or any other recreational activity. This is a very sacred place. The very many spiritual ancestors live there, and so they require great respect in doing so. Number 4, why is it economically important? Long ago, different Polynesians traveled to Hawaii by canoe. They brought with them 23 brand new species of plants to the island. Some of the offspring of those very same plants still remain inside of the national park today. Hawaiians have always believed that they have been caretakers of the island. It was their responsibility to maintain its beauty and respect. Economically, that meant that Hawaiians were very resourceful, and the land and sea provided majority of what they needed to survive. Because of this, they developed a very resourceful island and a very profitable market to trade in, setting themselves up for success in many years to come. And finally, number 5, why should you and I care about this place? I am so amazed at the beauty and history of this national park. The deep cultural aspects and meaning behind all that reside there are very important. Nearly 200 years ago, these practices were still in place, so it is very important to keep it and preserve it and fill it with all those same sacred spirits that reside there. I believe that in order to succeed, it is important to remember where we came from in order to focus on where we're going. Since most of us can't jump on a plane to Hawaii, here's a link straight from the National Park site that lets you take a 3D tour yourself. Alright guys, thanks for watching!